everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Oh my goodness.
My gosh.
Welcome to Three Themes Live. Allison.
We have been waiting for this day for a long time.
We have. Yes,
after
we have.
the little preview you and I got, we are so thrilled.
Oh my goodness. In fact, I got to tell you right now, this is going to be one of those shows that you will definitely be so grateful that you tuned in for. And so right now, I'm going to give you a minute to let your friends know to tune in today. So you can share it in the comments, or there's the little button to, share with someone else, or
Right.
share on your Facebook page. Let people know about today's episode, because it's one you're not going to want to miss. For sure, right?
Right.
Oh
right.
my goodness, I'm so excited. So happy to have all of you here. Welcome to Three Themes Live, where theme number 1 is something to smile about. Theme number 2 is something to learn. And theme number 3 is something to discover. Let's go. Hi everyone, welcome back to Three Themes Live. I'm Chris here at my girlfriend's quilt shop, and I'm so happy to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. Today is a very special day here because it's another new month that we're about to approach, and as you know, we are talking about Stitch Your Story all year for 2025. And Stitch Your Story is a movement, if you will, of something that we're really trying to encourage all of us as quilters out there to be capturing our stories through creativity. And today, we are so thrilled because we have a very special guest who's going to be joining us from Los Angeles, and we'll tell you a little bit more about him in just a moment. But for right now, I want to welcome Allison.
Hello.
Thanks, Allison, for being here with me today.
I know. I missed chicks and ducks and birds and all the things last week.
Oh my.
Oh my. Oh my. I missed it last week. So.
We had a good time.
I know.
We made all kinds of things for spring.
I know. I have made a couple of those things too. So I can't believe spring is right around the corner.
And
it's
can
here.
you believe tomorrow's April 1st?
No.
Which starts us off with a brand new week and a brand new month for Stitch Your Story. And so as we always do with the new week of the month, we always talk about the new theme for Stitch Your Story. So are you ready for it? This month's theme is legend. Legend. Legend.
I struggled with this one a little, Chris. I have to be honest, and yet I have 3 blocks.
Do you?
But this one made me think a lot about what is our family's legend.
What is our family's legend? And it could be something that is more serious. For me, I'm going to kind of take the more humorous viewpoint of this. Everyone has those stories, those family stories that live down in legend. And so tomorrow I'll be sharing my humorous story that none of us kids will ever forget. And it's something that I'm really excited to share.
Wednesday, I have a humorous story, something that is quickly becoming a legend. But today, my legend is a true legend.
Yes.
So I'm really excited.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
But until we do that, Chris, I think that it is so fun to kind of look back on some of the stories that have been shared this past month. And I am thrilled with those of you that have started Stitch Your Story, and it has been so fun to get to learn about our girlfriends and guy friends and the things that go on in their life.
And we want to make sure that everyone knows it's not too late.
No.
It is not too late to jump in.
If you start on December 1st of 2025, it is not too late.
Exactly.
Because we are giving you a theme every single month.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that that's the theme you follow, and it doesn't mean that you need to do 12 projects.
That's right. So we have 3 different customers of ours out there who we want to highlight today, who have been sharing some of their stories through their quilt blocks. And so let's take a quick look at some of them and see what they have to say.
All right. Well, our first one, I'm so excited. Haley. Haley Monson is not just one of our customers; she's one of our employees, and she's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you should see her face right now. I was going to make her come over, but I come over and just wave to them so that I can share your blog.
Get on over
here.
Over
yes,
here,
Haley.
Yes. Come on over.
Come on over.
Yes, we love seeing this. Cute, Haley. Oh, you got to bend down a little bit more, girl. They got to see your cute face. There we go. She's on one of our cameras today.
Yes, she is on one of our cameras, and she is darling. Now, Haley's not a seasoned sewer, but she decided to jump in on Stitch Your Story. And so her quilt block represents her heritage and her legacy. And it is from southern Utah, and it's called Thor's Hammer. Thor's Hammer, and it's a rock formation actually in Bryce Canyon.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to highlight that because it is from her southern Utah roots. She's put it together. Look how fun. She has that Thor's Hammer right in the middle of that beautiful star.
Yes.
And she just remembers her time at Southern Utah University cheering on the Thunderbirds, which is where she graduated. And she is so talented, one of our graphic designers that is fairly new to sewing and quilting, and she jumped in. So regardless of your ability,
yes,
Haley is a true example of jumping in and stitching your story. And I think that what she's going to create is going to be absolutely fantastic.
I can't wait to see it. Cannot wait. Okay, up next we have our friend Sandy Purdy. Sandy Purdy is just such a great girlfriend out there. Her story, and I love this block, but it starts in 1960 when her parents had purchased a barn, a farmhouse, and acquired 113 acres of Northwoods Road in Arcade, New York. Okay. Now, tragically, they lost their farmhouse in 1962 due to a fire. It was quite funny as well, not quite funny, but as she shared and she looks back, she remembers thinking as a child that the firemen had put their house on fire because she was just a little girl. She didn't quite understand. Exactly. So her parents moved several times with that farmhouse, and in 1977 she was able to fly the coop, as she said, and in 1981 she was married, and a little bit later, a few years down the road, her and her husband ended up moving to the farmhouse, which was her childhood home, because her father hired her husband to help on the farm. Okay. Right. And I mean, this goes generations. You know, this is what I love about her blog is that it is legacy. Yeah. And now she's officially made it her home, her childhood home.
Isn't that a beautiful blog?
Was her home. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you, Sandy, for sharing that with us.
Just beautiful. So much work in that block.
And then we have this one from Laura Galto.
Oh, Laura Galto is one of my favorite people.
Yes.
And isn't this so fun? So Laura's block is a park bench or a bench, just a lot of different benches, but it starts when they moved to Glen Ellen from Chicago when she was 6 years old, and her grandfather purchased property, but not just property for himself, but enough that he offered any of his kids or grandkids to come live on the property with him. And she has so many memories of sitting on a bench. I love the memory of her and her grandma sitting there and her remembering her grandma's belly laugh. But one of the most beautiful things is that it has gone through generations, and she has a bench of her own in her own house. And so it's just absolutely stunning. I just love the memories that came from it. And she talks about playing in her grandparents' home in the attic and in the garage, and the bench was always outside. And now she's developing those memories with her children and grandchildren.
I love that.
So beautiful.
This is wonderful. You know, these stories have really touched all of us, and I especially love it when you share it on our Facebook page, because I think it just helps remind us of who we are, and it brings our community together like nothing else. And so please, please continue to share those stories, continue to share your blocks. I mean, it doesn't matter how, if you're a novice or if you've been quilting for years, or maybe you choose to do a block that is done with paint or some other textile. Do something that helps create your story.
And maybe you just want to share a story. And I think that we are all open to sharing with each other and preserving those stories.
Definitely.
Maybe you're like, I can't handle one more project, so I don't want to start a blog.
Yeah.
But share your story, because that is what this movement, the Stitch Your Story, is all about. Stitching is just a way.
It's just a means. It's just a means. But I'll tell you, there's another means too, because we're talking about technology and how it has helped really, you know, just kind of showcase our stories even more now than ever. And there's someone very special who is at the head of that movement that we're going to be interviewing here in just a moment for theme number 2. Be sure to stick around for that. It's one you won't want to miss. And then during theme number 3 today, Allison's going to show us how she's able to take a photograph and actually change it into a stitch block right at her embroidery machine. So you keep with us for that one. But as we go into theme number 2, let's go ahead and take a look a little bit more about Stitch Your Story, as well as we learn a little bit more about Charlie Greene, our special guest today. Let's take a look. We're going to help you create a quilt this year that not one other person on the planet will have, because it's your story.
Now, if you saw this, you would think it's a cute block, right? But it doesn't mean anything without the story that it comes on.
What we are going to invite you to do is that you're going to create a 12.5-inch unfinished block every month, according to a theme.
I pulled those clothes out and I sat and cried for probably an hour because it was all of a sudden my dad's presence was there. I think that's my legend block.
I truly believe in life being a village and being a good villager. And this is a great way to leave my story so that my kids can see that being a good villager and telling their stories are important as well.
We would love to invite you to be a part of the Stitch Your Story Challenge for 2025.
These represent what I have done this last year. I've been to therapy, I don't know how many times, but this last year I could let go of a lot of things. I let go and I am the happiest I've been for a long time.
I just know that as I'm putting my blocks together and that I'm remembering and I'm kind of digging in. And if you haven't jumped on the Stitch Your Story train, you know what? If there's a reason that you haven't, maybe you don't have the time freedom or
right.
that, but if you do, it has really been a little bit therapeutic.
Our family stories have the power to connect us to our history and across generations. But far too often, we let these stories go untold. That's why there's Remento, the life storybook that writes itself. Remento turns memories of the past into a book of stories for the future. Just record answers to Remento's weekly prompts, and then watch Remento transform those spoken words into a book full of written stories. Read the words on the page, or scan the QR codes to hear the recording used to write each chapter. That way your family will never be without these stories, or the voices behind each one.
All right, as we mentioned before, the Stitch Your Story movement is happening and it's not too late to join in. Make sure that you download your free journal prompts at mygirlfriendsquiltshop.com so that you can record your stories and have them be connected to the blocks that you're making. Really, really a big deal. All right, friends. Well, we also just showed you in that transition a little bit of background about Remento, and the person behind it is even extra special, and he has a great story to share. We'll bring him on in just a moment, but let's take a look at, this is so exciting. Just a few weeks ago, he and his company were featured on Shark Tank. Oh yeah, you know the drill, right? And it was an incredible episode. I gleamed from ear to ear, smiled through the whole thing because I was so stinking proud of this guy. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm talking about.
The stories of our parents and our grandparents keep our family history alive across generations. And yet far too often when we lose those people, we lose those stories too. Well, with Remento, we have built the easiest way ever created to keep those stories alive forever. Remento's life story books transform a parent or grandparent's memory of the past into a keepsake book for the future. But unlike anything you've ever seen, Remento books completely write themselves. See, every week Remento sends your loved one a new storytelling prompt. And then without any apps to download or logins or passwords, they record their spoken answer, no writing required. Now, some of the storytelling prompts that they receive are handpicked by members of your family, like a photograph from their childhood or a question about their hometown growing up. Our first of its kind speech-to-story technology automatically transforms those recordings into written stories, compiles those stories into a keepsake book. Remento books contain a QR code printed inside that when you scan, link directly to the recording used to write that story. So Sharks, who's ready to make history and help families preserve memories and stories like never before? I'll tell you, my connection to this business stems very much from personal experience. It was a couple days after my 10th birthday that we lost my dad on September 11th in 2001. And it was in the years after 2001.
In the towers?
He was on United Flight 93, which was headed to the nation's capital.
Wow.
But ended up crashing in a field in Pennsylvania after the passengers
piece of
fought
American
back.
history in your family there.
It is, yeah.
An American hero.
He is an American hero.
Yes.
Well, it was in the years after 2001 that I spent a lot of time thinking about his legacy, both in terms of how we would keep his legacy alive as a family.
He would be so proud of you, just to see you stand with such presence and such strength and such beauty. I'm sure he is, and I'm sure he's very proud of you. So, sorry, keep going.
I'm gonna try to get this out. I'm really gonna try. In that period of time after 2001, I spent a lot of time thinking about his legacy, both in terms of how we would remember him as a family, and also how he would be remembered in memorials and museums across this country. And I remember coming to the realization as a really young kid that there were so many questions that I was never gonna have the chance to ask him. And it's why when my mom was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer years later, I knew I could not miss the opportunity to ask her the questions that I never had a chance to ask him.
And what happened to your mother?
My mom's in full remission right now.
Yeah!
Yay!
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's so good.
We're celebrating.
Without playing around, how much negotiating room do you have?
I do have room to negotiate, certainly. North of 10% is very difficult for me.
I understand completely.
I would do $300K for 10%.
Ooh.
Deal?
Ooh.
Almost. Would you be open to splitting that equity between advisory shares?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Wait.
100%.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Here we go.
It's a good
We're
thing
just starting.
it ended on a high note. Here you go, Allison.
I'm the resident crier, Charlie.
Me too.
Oh my goodness. Charlie Greene, welcome to Three Themes Live.
Thank you so much. I am just delighted to be here.
Oh, we are so happy to have you here. I know you must be incredibly busy and a lot going on, I'm sure, especially right now. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, 100%.
Oh, wow. Okay, first off, what was that like? I mean, that would scare the bejeebies out of me.
That's got to be gut-wrenching on so many levels. Not just to share your story, but to stand there in front of national television and hope that they will help.
It was a surreal experience, to say the least. You know, it's I think many of us have watched that show. In my case, I've watched that show many times over the last decade, and so it almost felt like I was observing someone else as I was standing there. You know, like standing in front of 5 people, but you're actually in front of about 150 people that are there helping actually make the production happen. But I love talking about this business, and I've come to learn that sharing my own story helps people understand the reason why what we're doing matters. So it's just a huge privilege to be able to have the opportunity to tell the story at scale. And then what a delight to walk away with Mark Cuban as an investor. That was the absolute
Oh, wow.
dream.
Yeah, I know. That's got to be amazing. I mean, Mark, Mr. Cuban, give me a call. Are we watching?
Yeah, right. He may be watching. He may be.
He may be.
Well,
Well, I just love what, his reaction, well, all of the Sharks' reactions, but I love that he was so ready and willing to jump on it. And I'd love to know, what is your next step together? What's around the corner for us?
Well, what Mark believed in, I think, from the pitch was the purpose and mission of Remento from the beginning, which was basically predicated on the fact that in the digital age, very few of us actually make the time to preserve the memories and stories of the people we love. And I grew up with the tremendous benefit of having parents who were like freakishly in love with the home video camcorder. So I have an incredible amount of video from my childhood, all of the milestone moments like births and birthdays and graduations and recitals. And then, as I mentioned in the pitch, when my mom was diagnosed with lung cancer years later, I came to this like shocking realization that despite having lived through the digital age, I didn't have any meaningful video content of her in a way that was nearly as meaningful as the content I have of my dad from my childhood. So we sat down to change that. My mom and I recorded, as you can see right here, an oral history interview. And I remember just being blown away, not by how meaningful it was to have recorded the content, but actually how much the process of asking her really basic questions brought us together. Right. And it left me wondering, like, what if there was a way to be able to share your own memories and stories, or just as importantly, learn about the memories and stories from someone you love in a way that didn't require a lot of work? And what I think Mark acknowledged was the cause of bringing families together through the shared exploration of family history is one that we as a community, as a society, as a humankind would be better if we had easier ways of doing. And I think he also had conviction that we were the team that was going to be able to do that because of how deeply we care about the mission itself. So up next for us, we are focused on making it easier to document the memories and stories of someone you love, and to make that process of doing that feel as magical and meaningful and connected as a family experience as possible.
Oh my goodness.
One thing that really stands out to me, Charlie, is not just that, because I grew up where my parents were very poor and we didn't even have a camera.
Right.
So I feel like we missed a lot of my childhood because there was no documenting. But then also, I come from a history of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yes.
That we lose that opportunity. And even though we think we'll remember, we think we'll pass it down. And also what struck me too is the physical book. I'm a voracious reader, as most of you know, but just the physical book. And will there come a time that I will want to share my mom's own stories back with my mom? And that just so touches me that, that you know, will there be a time in my life that I will need that opportunity?
I love that, Allison. What are your thoughts on that, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, the goal of our purpose, of our mission, of what brings us to work every day is to make it so that when you do lose someone in your life, inevitably one day, that the moment that you go to create a eulogy doesn't become the moment that you realize there are things that you never had a chance to ask them that you wish you had. And that is something that so many of us can identify with, as is this notion of wanting to hear their voice after they're gone. Right? The number of people who save voicemails of people they love is stunning.
Yeah.
And it begs the question, why is the voicemail the best thing you have to remember someone you love? So what we believe as our purpose is trying to find ways to get people well in advance of someone, you know, passing away, losing their memory, to actually get some of these stories documented. Because, by the way, not only is it a gift for your family in the future, maybe even for you in the future, but sharing stories within a family creates an opportunity to understand the lived experience of the people that you call your family, both by blood and otherwise, in a way that can bring you together, second to no other form of interaction. So it's incredibly powerful when we work with families who are using our technology to learn things about their parents and grandparents that they never knew, and sharing things like, my kids now see their grandparents as heroes. And what a beautiful thing to be able to help facilitate within a family.
You know, as I was preparing for this today, I called my sister and I said, we need to get on a plane to California and we need to go do this with Dad, because our dad has been diagnosed with dementia, and those things that have sorry, those memories that we have had over the years, I'm so afraid of them not being with us forever. Thanks, Allison. And so I said, okay, we're going to California and we are going to get these things recorded with him before it's too late. So I think I think those things are very special. And you shared something very special about your dad, and we appreciate you being so open with what happened to him, and bless him, bless your family for all that you've had to deal with over the years since 9/11. If you could, Charlie, what would be a question you would have wanted to ask him?
Well, I'll tell you one of the most important videos I have of him, which is a video that my mom took of him sitting at the breakfast table the morning that I was born. My mom was having a C-section, so they knew I was coming. And my mom is filming him and is asking him how he's feeling. And he answers the question in between bites of a bagel. And at one point, I think a bagel falls out of his mouth. And he's describing being nervous, and specifically being nervous about not having connected the car seat in the back of the car in the right way.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
And it's such a, having grown up, wishing I had a closer relationship with my dad, it's a moment of just him being so obviously and evidently himself. And, I have a 10-month-old daughter at home. And it is watching that video now that I am able to connect with him in a way that up until this point in my life, I never could have, just because I had not gone through this experience myself. So if I had a question to ask him, it would be, can you tell me more about what you felt like on that day? Because my sense is we probably felt pretty similar.
I bet that's definitely the case.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. I just love that, Charlie. And I would imagine that having that beautiful 10-month-old baby just puts life even more in perspective for you, right?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
It really
definitely.
sharpens your understanding of what matters most. And
Yes.
frankly, I think about my dad's legacy as well as my mom's legacy in a different way, right?
Yeah.
It's no longer about me. It was never, from my perspective, about them. For a while, it was about me. But now it's as much for my daughter as anyone else. And what a gift my mom has given by way of being one of our customers, by way of preserving her stories for the benefit of my daughter and her children, forever and always in the future.
So here's a question for you, Charlie. What advice would you have for someone who says, I don't have really anything important to share? I mean, I know that was my dad's answer. Years ago I said, oh, Dad, I want you to answer these questions. Nothing's that important about me. And I would say, oh, come on, Dad, there is. But that is a real dilemma, I think, for a lot of people, is they just don't feel like their stories that noteworthy. What advice would you have for them?
Well, first thing I would say is I understand why you feel that way. Like, think about the stories that we normally preserve in our communities. We preserve the stories of Holocaust survivors. We preserve the stories of presidents. We preserve the stories of civil rights advocates, right? These are people whose stories unequivocally need to be preserved. They do. And ultimately, the stories that matter far more than any of those people to us on a personal level is that of our own family. Right? Because it is the stories of those who came before us that ultimately help us understand who we are as human beings. So the question I would ask your dad is, after disagreeing with him that his story doesn't matter, I would say, would you be interested in hearing your great-grandfather's reflections about his childhood?
That kind of turn that back.
Almost certainly the answer is yes, if for no reason other than just basic curiosity.
Yes.
And what I would remind him is that by sharing stories about his life, they don't have to be the best moment or the worst moment, just reflections of moments that come to his mind. He will be giving his future family a gift that, for all of humankind, very few people have ever been able to give their families. But now, by way of ease of use with technology, is a gift that literally in a couple of seconds a week, you can make available to your family.
It truly is a gift. And I think one of the barriers to recording this in the past with how some other things have worked for people is that there would be a question, and one of the barriers for someone would be like, I don't want to write all of that. I don't want to type all of that. Remento has made it so much easier for us. Can you tell us a little bit more about the process of how someone goes about sharing their story in a very unique way that's unlike any other storytelling company out there?
Well, humans are storytellers. We remember information through story. And for centuries, there have basically been two different ways to document your stories. You could either write them down yourself, or you could hire someone to do it for you. And the first was incredibly time intensive, and the second was very expensive and still is. And so there have been products that have come up that have looked to find ways to make either the first part of writing your story a little bit easier, or the second part, hiring someone to do it a little bit less expensive. But at the end of the day, every solution that existed in the market before Remento came along was either going to require a meaningful amount of time or a meaningful amount of money. And the question we asked ourselves was, what if that wasn't the case? Like, what if you could create a book of your own stories, or invite someone you love to create a book of their own stories without having to write a word? And that's the way our product works today. If you buy Remento for someone you love, or you buy it for yourself, we will send you or that person, we call the storyteller, a new storytelling prompt every week. Some of those prompts are from the Remento question bank. Others are photographs that you or members of your family have submitted. And then every week you get an SMS text message or an email that tells you it's time to record a story. And then without any apps to download, no logins, no passwords,
That's
start
huge.
recording. That is huge. If you are over the age of 70, passwords are your nightmare. And that's why
I'm in my 50s and passwords are my nightmare.
Right.
No, thank you.
And if it's hard, we don't do it. I mean, if it's hard, or if it requires anything, or we have to put any thought, we just don't do it.
And that's why we built Remento with our own grandparents in mind, thinking what would be the experience we would want to send to our grandparents. And so the experience to record is no passwords, no logins, no downloads. And it's the reason why people over the age of 80 can use our product without needing any intervention from someone else. You just speak into your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your desktop. Remento records what you have to say, either in just audio or video if you're willing to share the video. And then we take that recording and we'll turn it into a written narrative that can either sound just like you if you prefer, or like you if you had hired a biographer to write the story for you.
Really?
And some people are really excited about hearing exactly their voice preserved in text. Others say, my favorite part about Remento is that it's written way better than my mom ever could. And we don't take a position on that. You can customize the entire experience however you want, but where we get most excited is when people actually receive their Remento books. I've got my mom's here. It's never far from my desk. And what you'll see is really special is that on the top of every page, there's a QR code.
Yes, this is one more step that has taken it to a whole new level. Tell us about that.
Well, going back to the point raised earlier, which is we hear from so many people after they've lost someone, I just wish I could hear their voice. And the question for us has been, if we've captured all of this recorded content, why wouldn't that be possible? Which is why we include QR codes that when you scan, will play the recording that was used to write every single chapter. So for your mom or your dad or for yourself, if you're the storyteller, this is a book that has written itself about the moments and memories that have made the storyteller the person who they are today. And then for their entire family, it is both an opportunity to learn about those moments every week for a year as the book is ultimately created, but then also knowing that those stories, as well as that person's voice, is forever and always going to be at your fingertips.
Wow.
And that's
There's
my
your
mom. Yeah.
She's beautiful.
She's so sweet.
She is, yeah.
Just
Number one
beautiful.
customer.
Yeah, that's right. She must be so proud of you.
she's deeply proud, and yeah,
Yeah.
we're just so thankful to have her.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes. I mean, such good news about your mom and how she's doing as well. And I'm
Right.
sure your dad is very proud of you as well. So what would you say, Allison, to all of this? I mean,
Wow.
jump in?
Yeah, just jump in.
Yeah.
I had an experience. My mom she had done a big clean out one time, and this didn't happen very long ago, but she sent a box of stuff that I thought was mine home, and it had sat in the garage for a long time. When I opened it, there were a few letters she had written home in college, and I read those letters, and she wasn't my mom when she was writing those letters. She was just a college girl with all the frustrations and different things. And I found myself so fixated on those memories and those different kinds of things, and learning a whole new piece. I swiftly boxed them back up and took them to her and said, I don't know, you probably didn't mean to give these to me, and now she'll know I read them. But you know me,
Yes,
an open book.
yes.
But I can't think of a better gift. So my thought right here is, wow, just do it. Just do
Yeah.
it. I mean, if stitch your story is not what you want to do, share those memories. You know
Yes.
that I am a firm believer
Yeah.
in legacy and heritage, and what an opportunity. And I am going to go home and get started. I mean, I worry so much about my legacy, and tomorrow's promised to no one.
Exactly.
And so we can't wait till tomorrow. We got to do it today.
Exactly. And Charlie, you've learned a little bit more about our Stitch Your Story movement. You've learned a little bit more about how we're using our creative talents and the things that we were blessed with to sew and to stitch and just, in being able to encapsulate story. What are your thoughts about story and creativity and how they go hand in hand?
Well, I held up this Remento book a couple moments ago, and what this book is comprised of is, in our case, 52 individual vignettes from my mom's life. And I remember telling her at the very beginning, don't feel the need to cover every detail of your life. Right? This is not your memoir starting with a clear beginning, middle, and end. What I'm looking for is 52 moments that have shaped the person you are today.
Wow.
And there feels to be such a clear connection to the work of quilting, which is pulling together different patches, different fabrics, different materials, each of which means something in a specific moment at a specific point in time, that means something individually, but when collected and aggregated means something entirely different and come to exist in a much more comprehensive and beautiful way. So there feels to be such a clear corollary there. The other thing that is so evident to me is that a quilt is both something that can bring families together in the moments they're created, but they are keepsakes. They are designed to stand the test of time. And when we think about memory and legacy and preservation, what we're ultimately doing is creating something that will allow future generations to have insight in what it was like to be alive at this moment. So I get really excited about the ways that these two activities are so similar, and then to the point that was raised earlier, legacy and legend. These are such important and beautiful themes, and finding creative ways to bring them to life is it's such a beautiful thing to be involved in, and such a gift for others.
I absolutely agree. Thank you. What a beautiful way of sharing that message.
And I'm crying again.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
right. I absolutely just love what you shared, and I think it is so true. And it, when we create too, we're sharing a part of ourselves. And I love how you also shared that there's no beginning, middle, and end of a story. I think so many times people think, oh, I've got to start with, the whole fairy tale of once upon a time, and then this happened, and then they lived happily ever after, when really that's not the case for so many. They're just stories. They're just experiences that have shaped us for who we are, and there is no beginning, middle, and end, is there?
No, there's not. And who are we to think that we can nail the timing of when we get to write our story so that it perfectly is connected at the end, right?
Yeah, exactly.
My own story of having lost a parent early in life, taken too soon, speaks to that directly. And it's the reason why when I think about my relationship with my daughter, I'm already sharing my stories with her, right?
Sure.
She's too young to appreciate them today, but I know she'll appreciate them in the future.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Charlie, as we end, do you have a favorite story that has really, just made you feel like this was my life work, this is what I was meant to do, or what personal story has impacted you the most through Remento?
Yeah, so I'll give you one that my mom shared with us. So
Okay.
there was a photo in our house growing up of her sitting on Santa's lap. I remember when we sat down to do our first interview, this is the photo right here. I immediately, she's really cute. You can see, really cute.
Yes, she
Yes, she
is.
is. It's a beautiful picture.
And I remember I pulled it off the wall, and I remember as I was pulling it down, this is the only photo we have hanging in our house that doesn't feature anyone other than my mom in it. Like there must be something interesting here other than her looking really cute. And I asked her, I said, Mom, can you tell me a little about this photo? And she goes, Oh yeah, I've never told you this, have I? I said, I don't know. I don't know what you're about to say. How could I know? And she said, Yeah, the reason why I love that photo is because the person who took that picture ended up becoming a serial killer in our town.
Oh,
I was like, whoa.
what?
Sorry, maybe you wanted a heartfelt answer to end on. I'm just gonna tell you an honest
That
one.
has impacted you the most.
And well, I'll tell you why is because what it led me to realize, and we talked about why that was important for her, and it led to themes of growing up in a small town. It led to
Yeah.
themes of what it meant like to be in a place where they weren't as connected to the rest of the country. It led to things
Sure.
about how she understood her connection to her family. And ultimately, it was through the reflection that I came to much more deeply appreciate that we don't know we know almost nothing about the people we love, right? Because in so many cases, especially of our parents, the lives before we came into their picture is just something that's not discussed. So for me, one of the reasons why that specific story shaped me so much was it was just this like beautiful reminder that taking time to learn the stories of the people that we love will render tremendous benefits in the short term, but then to be able to make that content available for future generations, like what a wonderful way to honor the people you love and also the people that you love in the future.
Honor the past and the future. And I think it's a gift you give to yourself as well.
Right.
To look back and sometimes I think, oh, nothing special has happened to me in my life, or there's so much sorrow out there. And sometimes we have to think about all the good things that have happened to us in our life, and being able to start sharing those stories truly helps with that, right?
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we end today?
I would just say if there's someone in your life who has stories worth preserving, which would be defined as stories at all, right? Whether you're using our product or not, just make the time to go out and document those. And it doesn't have to be an entire legacy. It doesn't have to be every detail. Just start small. And our product was designed to make that really easy, but you don't have to use Remento to go ahead and document those stories. But to the point that you raised earlier, don't count on the fact that you'll have time on a less busy day in the future to go ahead and document that, because we all know of cases where that hasn't happened. So yeah, my moral of the story is just go out and get started. And it will be a gift that you will forever be grateful to have given yourself and your family in the future.
And why wouldn't you start with Remento? I mean, I can't think of a single reason. So
I know. How do we learn more about how to get started with you guys?
I think you can go to our website, which is beautifully displayed on our screen, remento.co. By the way, remember is like Remento is like remember and memento combined into one word. And yeah, you can check out our product, buy it for yourself, buy it as a Mother's Day or a Father's Day or a holiday gift for someone else. And again, whether you use our product or not, just go ahead and let this be an inspiration for you to get started.
I love that. And I want to remind everyone, it is remento.co, not .com. So you will not
That's
find
correct.
it with the .com.
Yeah. If you get lost, you can just Google Remento and we'll come.
Right.
There you go. Oh my goodness, that's
What a
so wonderful.
beautiful day.
And I believe we have a link as well. And if Kathy's on, she can share that in the comments, so you can go straight over there and be able to get started
Or
with
you can
right
scan
away.
the QR code that we also have on there.
Yep, the QR code is on there as well. Just take your phone. I mean, come on, ladies and gents, it's 2025. We are learning those QR codes like none other.
Right.
Aren't
Right.
we?
Yep.
And they're easy. They're so simple to do, and that's the technology that it takes to, be able to listen to their voices and hear their stories as well. And it's incredible. What you're doing is absolutely incredible, Charlie. And I think in this day and age with AI, with things that are so digital, that now that we can create this authenticity still with what we are sharing is more important than ever for families.
Very beautifully said. I would agree with that. I have nothing to add.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing this with us. It has been just such a joyful conversation, hasn't it, Allison?
Yes.
So we appreciate it.
couldn't
Good
agree
luck with all that you have moving forward.
We can't wait to watch what comes.
Yeah, I mean, you and Mark, man, dynamic duo right there. I can't wait to see what you and your team come up and what the future holds for you. We wish you all the best.
I so appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Charlie. All right. Wow. Wasn't that amazing?
That was amazing.
I mean, I can't think of a better way to be able to honestly share your story in the easiest way possible.
Right.
I mean, that's incredible.
Right.
And I'm seriously, I'm ready to get on that plane, go see my dad, but also there's, so many people in our lives that I would love to learn more about and hear their stories.
Well, it just thought to me, incorporate the two. Take a picture of your quilt block. Use that as part of Remento.
Sure.
Give somebody the quilt and the book.
Yes.
And your voice telling these stories.
Exactly.
I mean, what a fantastic year-long project between the two companies that I can't think of anything better.
Yes, absolutely. So my girlfriend's quilt shop, Remento, let's go.
Let's
right?
go.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Oh my goodness, what a great interview. We would love to hear in the comments your thoughts. Let us know what really touched your heart during the show today. Maybe share an experience that you've had in being able to interview loved ones. Okay. And maybe it's even just to interview yourself.
Right.
And be able to share a little bit of yourself with the world.
Know how to share, but it would be easy to sit in a room and share those stories just
exactly.
alone, where, maybe you're not a public speaker.
Right.
Maybe you don't like that. Maybe it's something you want to leave.
So. Absolutely. I think it's incredible.
Please let us know in the comments that you cried right along with me, because I cannot be the only one that was so touched by this.
I got out the tissue too, my friend. Like, it doesn't take much when we start feeling very passionate about these kinds of things, and I hope you can see where our heart is.
Well, I can't wait for thing three to show you what we discovered and what I discovered in a newspaper article.
Oh, okay. Cannot wait. We'll be back right after this.
The sun is out and spring is here on Three Things Live.
That's right. There were bunnies, chicks, and carrots. Oh my, that's hilarious.
Oh, these projects are so stinking adorable. I just want to make them all.
Well, you definitely can, Kyle, and you can too. We showed you how to get up and running in no time.
And don't forget, we had Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden drop by, and he shared some great gardening tips. Trust me, you want to hear what he said.
Take the fun to the next level by watching live every Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Mountain or 3 p.m. Eastern.
It is the chick.
So catch up on all this and so much more by clicking on the links below.
Three Things Live is where we always have something to make you smile,
something to learn,
and something to discover.
Let's go!
I've always wanted my mom to write a book of her life. She's got so many amazing stories and more photos than we know what to do with. But I'll be honest, I knew she would never write down those memories herself. That would feel way too much like homework. I felt like there had to be a better way to preserve those stories. That's why I set out to build a memory book that could completely write itself. And after a ton of trial and error, we invited my mom to become our first customer.
I wrote that myself without writing a word. So I just talked about this photograph, and this is what I got. I'll print it up. And this here, this little QR code, if I go with my camera and punch in this QR code, it pops up the video of me talking. There's the picture, and here's me doing the talking.
So if you've got an amazing parent or grandparent with great stories to tell, go check out Remento.
That's incredible. This is genius. This is absolutely genius.
Welcome back to Three Themes Live. Oh my goodness.
What an incredible show, and what incredible comments.
I don't think
I was going to get away
forget.
from the tissues over there. I definitely have not.
We're reading your comments. Yep.
Really touched me when you talk about your son.
Yes, absolutely. And she loves how, seeing the video of Charlie and his mom and the way, he was looking at his mom with that big smile. And I just think that is so very special. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is one I'm not going to be able to get off my mind for a little bit,
yes.
right?
Yes, this is giddy.
I can't wait to see, and hear about your experiences with all of this, and whether, again, it's Stitch Your Story or Remento, or I love that he shared however you want to share your story. The most important thing is just share it. Just share it. All right, everyone. Well, we have another fun discovery for you. And as we end today's show, we thought it would be great to share with you a little bit about the Baby Lock Radiance and how Allison was able to take a photograph and stitch it out. Tell us about this, Allison.
I want to tell my story just a little bit, but first I want to get started with how easy this is. So this is the Baby Lock Radiance, and they have a picture play option here. So I just wanted to walk you through how easy this is to take a photo and actually,
go ahead.
Okay, you wiggle the cords. Okay, so we are going to just unplug this, plug it back in. Oh, I hope this works for us. Chris, do you want to look at that while I tell this? So what this is hopefully I can share the screen. If not, then we are just going to, we had it just for a second to show this. But this is our picture play. And what picture play is it actually has you take a picture, and here comes Eric. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we're not going to breathe, but I want to show this. So let's get this started. You're going to hit this embroidery, and you actually just hit picture play.
Let's wait for that to go on. Okay, there we go.
All right, so you hit embroidery, and you're going to hit picture play. What it asks you to do is ask you for your disc, and here, everything that's on my disc, you'll see this. I actually have a picture that we're going to call Promontory. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. This was a picture that I actually found in a newspaper article about my great-grandparents. Now, those of you that wonder what Promontory is, do you remember when they built the train tracks across from the east to the west?
East met west,
and they actually met in the middle, and my grandparents actually founded Promontory.
Wow.
So right where they are. So this is a picture of my grandparents walking by. If I hit set right here, then what this does is it actually brings up my picture, and then I can just program my machine to embroidery stitch this out. Now this is the cool part. So this takes a minute, but Chris, on these pictures, we can decide how we want that.
You could do it all kinds of different
So let's do it a little cartoony.
Okay.
And I'm going to hit preview. It'll load. So I was actually reading a newspaper article, and so this is my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather walking the tracks at Promontory. I have another couple of pictures here that I found in the newspaper. Now, what is so cool about this is that how cool would it be to have these stories? So this is my legend.
Yes.
And legend is actually history on here. So I have this one. I have a picture of this was the inn and the general store. My great-grandmother was actually a mail-order bride. And my grandfather bought her from England. She showed up on the train tracks with 9 trunks, and she was quite a lady. So my purse.
9 trunks.
Yeah, 9 trunks.
Oh,
so
we now know a little bit more about
my purse.
Yeah,
yes, but she had to actually work really hard. And then this is my grandmother and and her brother. At Promontory with the monument way back in the day. So, all right, if we want to come back, this actually took that picture that you guys saw on the screen, and it actually made it a little bit more cartoony.
Wow.
If I wanted to stitch that out. So if we bring that screen up, Abby, I hope it does. Let's take a look. Oh no, did we just lose it?
Let me see if I can get it back.
All right. But it actually made it more cartoony. But it was an 83-minute stitch out, but you simply hit next. It figures your colors for you, and you just stitch this out. So,
okay, there we go.
So
look at
that. Isn't that cool?
And
so,
I mean, that's amazing.
Isn't that
Allison?
amazing? Yes, we could hit
fun.
this. We could return it, hit another style.
Okay. So you can go kind of a modern deco,
Let's
or
do this one
you
right
could
here that's
do
a little bit more black and white. Yep,
sepia.
it takes just a second.
And it's going to tell you what colors of thread to use as well, isn't it?
Yes, it just figures it for you. So when this comes up, I'm going to hit.
Seriously, touch of a button.
Yes, so cool.
How easy is that?
So cool. It was so easy, and what a great way to preserve in fabric my memories, because we all know that paper pictures sometimes fade or they're hard. So there it is in black and white. Now if I hit next right here, then it just takes just a second and it'll configure this all, and it actually converts it into a machine embroidery.
That's incredible, Allison. I mean, my mind is reeling with all of the different possibilities that you could do with something like this.
Yeah.
And it just takes...
and some pinks, and it kind of matched my quilt. This is on the Baby Lock Radiance, and it's actually just built in. It's called Picture Play.
Yes.
Now, you might think that this would, but it was only an 80-minute stitch out. And so that's not too long, because it is solid stitch.
That is a lot of stitches in there, my friend. Wow. Yeah. What a cool discovery.
Yeah,
I love
so that was my discover. I like I said, there was a few things, the reasons that I decided to invest in and buy the Radiance, and this was one of them. My husband came in, his mind is just reeling. He keeps saying, wow, can you print me out a picture of my, and by print stitch.
My goodness, I love that.
So I just wanted to share my block, my legend. My legend would be Promontory, the meeting of the trains, and the legend that my grandparents, and
that she was a mail order bride. That's
hilarious.
Isn't that
with
funny? 9 trunks.
With 9 trunks. I have 2 of those
in
my possession. She never really got in them or opened them. So.
Oh my goodness, that is pretty cool. Wow, how fun. All right, friends, so this is your call out. This is your invitation. Jump in on Stitch Your Story. It is never, ever, ever too late. This month's theme is legend. You can go more the serious route, more the funny route. Tomorrow,
watch all week. We have some great legends to share with you.
Legends that will live on forever.
Yes.
All right. And if you want to learn more about Stitch Your Story, head on over to our website at mygirlfriendsquiltshop.com. Don't forget, shop is spelled with 2 P's and an E, so that you can learn more. You can download your journal there and get started stitching with us right away. And don't forget, we love to see your photos. So make sure you share your photos, your story on our Friends of My Girlfriend's Quilt Shop page. And before we leave, we want to make sure that you all know that we have a special swig night coming up tomorrow.
What is swig?
Swig is show and sell with the girlfriends.
Yep.
And it's at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow night, right here on our Facebook or YouTube channel. Please join Allison and myself as we go through the Baby Lock Triumph the Baby Lock Solaris and the Baby Lock Applaud, which now the Applaud and Solaris can now be sold online, which is pretty exciting. And we have some unbelievable deals for you on these, because it's no joke. It is April 1st, Allison, but it is no joke. No jokes at all here. We're not pulling any funnies on you. It's serious stuff. That these are incredible machines and at amazing, amazing deals, because they are all been previously loved. I like to say, people who have turned in their Solarises upgraded to Radiance. Exactly. So you're going to get in on some very, very special deals. Yes, Solaris Vision as well, William. And yeah, I'm excited about that. Oh, and I almost forgot, we're giving away a machine.
Yes, we are.
The Baby Lock Aurora.
Yes.
So just by tuning in.
You do have to be present to win, so
you
have to watch.
Yes. So, and when we say present, we mean present anywhere on the web.
Right.
with us.